I think the future of PR and communications is going to be much more metrics driven. Future of comms will look like more of a, I want this, and you're going to deliver that. And we think that will actually normalize and equalize PR with other types of marketing. I started life in actually psychology. I went through school very quickly in the Midwest, and I thought that I would go into psychology. And as I got into psychology, I realized quickly I didn't want to be in clinical psychology. And so I pivoted to industrial organizational psychology. And I found myself in HR. And it looked like the marketing group was having so much more fun. And so when they realized that I had done a lot of research, they suggested that maybe I wanted to come over and work with the industry analysts. And so I began to, so I had an invitation to come over and work in industry analysts. And from there, I took on more and more and more, and I wound up working with the media from there. And I just had a wonderful time understanding first what the industry analysts were forecasting for the industry, what they were saying would happen from a trend perspective, and then how I could apply that with the media and how I could use those skills with media relations. And so data has really always been a part of my life from the get-go. I was doing surveys and work with research where data is extremely important. So that's where I started. Data began, early in my actual education when I was looking at stats and information when we were doing research. I was coding SPSS. So of course, data has always been extremely important, but it became, it's never lessened in importance for me. A lot of people don't think about it in public relations. And I realized as I was building this agency, so very few people thought much about the data and what it was saying. But actually, we don't even quote a new business proposal or even think about a presentation without looking at the data and what the data says. So many clients care so deeply about share of voice. And today, there's so many fields and disciplines such as social and digital, where they can give people exact information about what data there is in their field. And I think media relations has fallen way behind in thinking that this is just an art and that it's just about relationships, when there is so much data out there about what's being written on, what keywords there are, what topics are being picked up on, and people are choosing to ignore that, which I think is terrible. And you can actually see the trends of where things are going, which publications are writing about what, which reporters are writing about what. And I think it's really important to inform your clients in terms of what they're wanting to talk about and what will and won't work. And so we use data very much to our advantage when we're working in not just new business, but as we're working along the way, help our clients stay in a recent and relevant trend that they can continue to be in the limelight and get the awareness they need to build their business. Data is really helpful in terms of helping us find, for example, a greenfield of opportunity. It shows, for example, nobody's ever talked about this particular topic, or this particular topic is very saturated. Wow. The data shows that all the coverage are all brief mentions. Nobody's gotten any, deep coverage in this area. Nobody's been, so we quantify everything. And then of course we use qualitative data as well. We're looking for things like where is the business press writing, or where are the feature articles, or how much sentiment analysis is there in terms of positive versus neutral versus negative. So we're constantly applying data from a qualitative perspective as well as just pure numbers of things. So I can't even separate my life from data at all since the get-go, from my very early education in college to now. We've been a data-driven firm. I know a lot of people say it, but we literally have our differentiator is something called Metrics Matter. And we've built an entire custom application around it. And we're moving our clients from end of month summaries that look like PowerPoints to a custom application. It doesn't have to be end of month. They can choose the date range they want, and look at the data and what the data says in terms of their share of voice against their competitors at any time, any point in time. My favorite metrics are the metrics that my client wants to see, because there are no two clients that are the same. In some cases, they want to be in the Wall Street Journal or they want to be in Business Press. And in some cases, they want to be in very specific verticals in which their new clients are, buying. And my job is not to judge their value. My job is to help them achieve what they want. I don't judge them. They need what they need. We use tools of many different types, and the key type of tool that I look for is something that has an API that I can use for my custom application, because I'm trying to build an app that is customizable to my clients' needs, so that whatever they need, they can see. So they can pull up the data that they need, the information that they need to satisfy their board, their CEO. So the most important type of tool is comprehensive. It's searching all the sites. It's looking for all the data, so I don't have to look at and say, oh, they're missing, these types of publications or X or Y or Z. That is frustrating to me. So I'm looking for tools that are comprehensive. We use one for digital and social. We use another for media. We use, obviously, Google. Who doesn't? We use so many. We have 4 or 5 that we use, and all of those get ported into our custom app. The future of PR and communications is going to be much more metrics driven, I think more numbers driven. When you look at SEO, what are people trying to drive to? They're trying to drive to a higher ranking. They're all looking for their score. I think the same is true of, emails. They're looking for conversions and price per click. I think the same is true for, email campaigns. They're looking for conversions and price per clicks. I think right now, and for a very long time, public relations has had it nice and easy in some ways, in that they're looking for awareness. And that's such a nice little air quote, in some ways it's not easy, because no one's really defined it. And sometimes that can be always the expectations from higher and higher. The Wall Street Journal, CNBC, Fox News, we don't work that way. We ask for very specific metrics, and we deliver those very specific metrics, and we price to those very specific goals. I think a lot of agencies still work on a retainer, and nothing is defined, and the goals are very loosey-goosey, and someone is always disappointed. Either the agency is very disappointed because they don't feel that they were paid for their efforts, or the client is very disappointed because they don't feel that they got the results that they paid for. But in both scenarios, someone is very disappointed. Unlike when you walk into a grocery store and you pay whatever you pay for that prime rib or that lobster, you paid for it, you bought it, you obviously are happy with that price. And so we consider ourselves more of a fair trade. Someone put into somebody else's head that PR is unpredictable. But if that's the case, then so is sales. And somehow they manage to predict sales. While you can't say who's going to write or who's going to buy, there is a way called the sales funnel to predict what type of sales salespeople will have. And that's what we do from a PR perspective. We've just begun to build quotas just the same way salespeople build quotas. So PR people need to start thinking about that and building themselves quotas for their clients, or I think they'll find themselves less and less employed by clients.